Bitter news, bitter criticism, bitterness criticism, bitter juice, bitter juice, bitter juice, bitter juice. Woo! I guess my dog is cold. Well, when he's cold, I guess that's why he came to me because of to getting warm. So my dog get warm with me. I don't remember. News in English .no. Oh no, this site now is good. We'll read this news from yesterday. It now is below zero degrees, but at least there's no mosquito in Norway. Yeah, there's a lot of diseases because of the warm climate. So I guess cold temperatures are better for development. Well, I will read this Norwegian news. Police crack down on turbine protest. This was from today in morning. Activists promoting both Sami and environmental interests occupied Norway's oil and energy ministry through the weekend and then blocked all its entrances on Monday. It was their latest effort to get the government to finally respect a Supreme Court decision from 2021, which ruled that large wind turbines built on Sami grazing land at Fosen in Trøndelag violate their human rights. So this is a protest for Sami rights. Sami people are like the indigenous people from the North Norway. Can you imagine that cold there? And what is interesting to me is that they don't wear dense coats. Like, this is not so heavy, but they wear like I don't know, fur, animals fur only, just some fur, The Sami want their grazing land on the Fosen Peninsula back after Norway's Supreme Court ruled that construction of wind turbines violated their human rights. Activists occupying the oil and energy ministry throughout the weekend claimed the state continues to break the law by refusing to remove the windmills. The Sami and many others who opposed to controversial construction of the turbines on the scenic Fosen mountain plateau first entered the ministry's lobby in downtown Oslo on Thursday and later refused to leave. "We will sit here as long as we have to," said Eller Nystad, leader of the youth chapter of North Samers Riksforbund and National Sami Federation. We won't leave until the government listens to our demands." Looks like they maybe are Sami people, but Norwegians have the right to protest, Even these protests in Germany that is happening right now against the sending weapons to Ukraine. Even those protests are are so cool. So police don't kill nobody like in South America. That's great, I guess. Police were, however, called in late Saturday night with state broadcaster NRK reporting that the demonstrators were given 15 minutes to leave the building. When they refused, they were carried out one by one, given citations, but then released. Most of them headed straight back to the Ministry for ongoing protests outdoors. I will send my curriculum to NRK. By mid-afternoon on Monday, the protests were turning dramatic again, with police returning to remove demonstrators, now blocking the entrances to the ministry. Among them was Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. I didn't recognize her. At least she's not in the photo, I guess. You know, Greta Thunberg is maybe the shorter Swedish woman ever. She is already 19, I guess, and she still like a baby, not like a little girl, but it's not a girl anymore. The Sami fought long and hard against construction of the wind turbines that disturb their reindeer herds, so the reindeer don't like these turbines. They ultimately sued the companies involved and state authorities who allowed them to build. Their suit went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they won in 2021, only to be met with more objections by the state and what the protesters consider delaying tactics. It's probably it is right. This is the development. You can say wine energy, eolic energy is wrong, but Sami people have their rights, looks like, isn't it? Or maybe Sami people are powered by oil companies. that's what is the logic, isn't it? I don't know. Thursday marked 500 days since Norway's highest court ruled that the wind power turbines were built in violation of reindeer herders' cultural heritage and thus a violation of their human rights. The court spotted short of ordering compensation for what the Sami considered virtual expropriation of their grazing land, but declared that the state's permission to build the turbines was invalid. The Sami and the environmentalists want the turbines to be borne down and the grazing land restored, but 60 months later, all 151 turbines remain in operation. The government insists new studies are now needed to come up with new measures that presumably will allow the turbines and radar to coexist. New measures. Yeah, that's interesting. This is interesting because of reindeer. How to say, the veterinary, the reindeer biology, isn't it? To understand why reindeers are so disturbed with the turbines. Sami leaders and several other top politicians in Norway have been protesting ever since and calling the turbines yet another injustice against the country's indigenous people. Norway usually defends minorities in other countries, but commentator Harald Stengler wrote in newspaper Aftenposten recently that when Sami interests collide with the state's interests, the state does not take the Sami minority's side. It's, well, Norwegian government should plot some conspiration, some conspiration theory or conspiration from the oil companies and the Sami and Kurdistan. I don't know. It's the latest of several conflicts between the state and the Sami, and many are comparing it to the Sami's battle to preserve the Alta River years ago. Several legal experts, including the Norwegian Bar Association's Human Rights Commission, warned that the Norwegian government is violating important principles with their interpretation of the Supreme Court's ruling in the Fosen's case. The state disagrees, claiming the High Court's ruling doesn't order them to dismantle the turbines and only states that the turbines can limit the Sami's traditional grazing but haven't yet, making it a potential but not an actual violation of their rights. The Bar Association calls that an absurd approach. It can appear that the state in practice finds it difficult to accept defeat, wrote Stangele in Aftenposten, yeah. Perhaps the government is speculating that the Sami will give up and accept some sort of compromise, or that the economic interests at stake are too strong. You know what was lacks here in this article is the Greta Thunberg is really there. I guess the Greta Thunberg is like ironic, isn't it? She's not real. I don't know. You know, she's always fighting for something strange, isn't it? Some like the deers. Yeah, you should study the deers. This article should talk about the deers. While powerful financial interests are behind the huge windmill project at Fosen, neither the Sami nor environmental activists from organizations including Natur og Ungdom, Nature and Youth, now any signs or giving up. On Sunday, they were joined by the president of the Sami parliament and on Monday by the internationally prominent Swedish activist Thunberg. She showed up in the middle of the night and wasn't allowed inside the occupied ministry because she is a kid. No. But later joined the protesters outdoors because she is a little kid. No. She's not. She's a very ironic people, isn't it? The president of the Sami parliament in Norway, Silje Karin Mukta, had also appealed to the state in her New Year Eve address. She will be meeting with Oil and Energy Minister Terje Asland on Thursday and said on Sunday that she also expects to discuss the issue with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store. Looks like no, my theory is not right because look, the ministry is called Oil and Energy, so the Oil and Energy Minister is doing that against the Sami. It's not the oil companies. And in Norway, the oil company is controlled by the state. She points to how the Supreme Court rendered the state's license for the turbines invalid, and it's disappointed the state hasn't respected the Supreme Court decision or obey it. That's serious for those directly affected, but also for the rest of us. Mokta wrote in newspaper that that's a vision in January. Norway is a state governed by law, and when even a Supreme Court decision doesn't mean anything, what does that say about our country? In my view, in my point of view, it's the same thing. The government and Supreme Court, or the Supreme Court, as everybody knows, I guess, only attend for money, for the money of the development. I don't know, all these indigenous people, they should, I don't know, they should go to the city. I don't know, yeah. They don't need electricity, isn't it? This is an anthropology issue. Why how to live? Why indigenous people don't migrate? I'm not an indigenous people, you know. I'm not sure if I want to meet the Sami, but who knows? I do saw some videos about the Sami. They have this like a tourism party. It's not like a party, it's like a ceremony. They have a spiritual ceremony, and I am not believer, I'm atheist. I don't believe in Sami people. I don't believe in I don't know, but they have this kind of life, isn't it? They raise a reindeer, and the reindeer have problems with the, well, this is a problem for the first world. She points to how the Supreme Court rendered the state's license for the turbines invalid, and is disappointed the state hasn't respected the Supreme Court decision or obeyed it. That's serious for those directly affected, but also for the rest of us. Mutova wrote in newspaper Dags Avisen in January. Norway is a state governed by law, and when even a Supreme Court decision doesn't mean anything, what does that say about the country? Yeah, this is a global south country. This is a nightmare country, yeah. Anna Blix, a biologist and advisor to the Reds Party, wrote in newspaper Glasscaping earlier this month that the government was pushing itself above the law by not acting in accordance with the court decision. The Reds, the Socialist Left, and the Greens Party all think the states should apologize to the Sami, respect the Supreme Court decision, and dismantle the turbines. The state, through power agency Statkraft, owns 52.1% of the turbines operating company, Fosen Vind. Tronder Energy owns 70.9%. So has power to act, but large investment and lots of money are also at stake. I will read another news. No, I will finish this because it's only one paragraph. But you see, the state controls 52%. So, you know, it's very tricky because Sami people must be only like 100,000 people, like that. Let's see how much Sami people are. You know what I know from Brazil? Look, they are 38 to 60 not million, 1,000, 60 in the large number. There are 60,000. So what I know from the global south is that these Sami people, they will take to another place. But this is a great, this is the best government. They are, the Supreme Court give them the reason. So the state have to do something. Look, Oil and Energy Minister Aslan met with the demonstrators late last week and allowed them to stay in the ministry's lobby through the weekend, telling state broadcaster NRK on Sunday night that they thought it was good that young people demonstrate. On Monday morning, he was claiming that he not ordered the police to evict them late Sunday night, blaming state security officials for that decision. He's showing no signs, however, of acting on the demonstrators' demands, claiming once again that the new study of the issue is needed and likely to take up to another year to complete. You know, this is maybe the reindeers. They need stop hearings. You know, maybe this is a sound problem. They are troubled with the sound. So this is a veterinary issue. You know, it's not a state issue. You can do the both things. You know, you can try to avoid the animal problem. That's my opinion. We need to do things correctly and can't rush this, he said, repeating statements made last year as well. We shall have a legal basis for the process we have chosen. He has denied the ministry is putting itself above the law. Even though the Supreme Court has evaluated that the permission for the turbines that was given is invalid, they didn't take a position on what should happen with them. Aslan told Classic Campaign last spring, and that's what we must evaluate in the process ahead. Well, some people do have a problem, but you cannot imagine the kind of problem indigenous people have in Brazil or in all global south. Norway is still a awesome government. You know, they are negotiating. So we'll see this from Ukrainian war. Yeah, 1,000 marches against Putin. This was 3 days ago. Norwegians turned out by the thousands in Oslo and elsewhere around the country on Friday in a massive show off support for Ukraine. They were also marching against Russian President Vladimir Putin, who ordered his invasion of Ukraine a year earlier. Yeah, this is a photo. Here we have a photo with lots of jerk people. No, look, a hippie. There's a hippie there. Yeah, looks like, well, they are a lot of people, but you know, this photo shows nothing. You can, of course, they are, I don't know, 400 people, but I hope they are a database. They are like data, isn't it? Hundreds had already gathered in front of Norway's parliament, which had raised its own flag for Ukraine earlier in the day, well before events began in Oslo Friday afternoon. Similar demonstrations were mounted in Bergen, Trondheim, Stavanger, and nearly 100 other locations around the country, well attended by many of the nearly 40,000 Ukrainian refugees who live in Norway. Yeah, they look like they are only the. This was the only Ukrainians. Look, 40,000. Now, here this is not even 1,000 people. Maybe Ukrainian like it. Norway don't want to go back Ukraine. Never. Many demonstrators were draped in Ukrainian flags, which also flew all over the city on Friday. The colors of the flag meant to symbolize blue skies over Ukrainian grain fields. Oh, this is I like it, you know. I didn't know that Ukrainian flag means blue skies over Ukrainian grain fields. That's an awesome flag, isn't it? It's like a photograph. It's beautiful, but I think Ukrainian are fascists, or at least they're fascists right now. Were also displayed on various buildings as darkness began to fall. No, I really liked the flag. That's when the crowds gathered in front of the Norwegian Parliament in downtown Oslo also were treated to a surprise performance by the electronica duo Tvorshi Creative that won Ukraine's own preliminary to the upcoming European Song Contest. Tvorshi members Andriy Viktorovich Hutswalik and Jimo Augustus Kehinde performed their winning song, Heart of Steel, which was inspired by the lengthy siege of the Azovstal steel plant during the early stage of the war. Maybe I believe this is not a good song. I will search this song. Heart of Steel. I will hear. Let's hear it. Let's hear it right now. I guess like all electronic music is not that good. Electronic music is like kind of crazy for me. I don't like it. Look, Tvorshi. You know, I only like Norwegian to practice winter sports, to go to Lillehammer. Look, let's hear. I guess this is a totally waste because I don't like electronic music, but they won.
Sometimes gotta look away. Sometimes just gotta know when to stick your middle finger up in the air. I cannot explain.
I like the performance, the visual. I like the visual. This is video mapping.
Don't get what you say, don't get how you feel. Get out of my way.
Oh no, this is trap. I like the visual, how to say, aspect, the visual video, the visual records, how to say. But I don't like trap. It's like trap, isn't it? Yeah, the whole word is like a hip hop vibe. I just only like new wave, like, but yeah, all the world is under hip hop influence. So they won the competition just because of the war. After the rally outside Parliament, which featured appeals by top politicians from both the left and right, the crowd marched along Oslo's main boulevard, led by Major Marianne Borgen. Maybe I will go to Norway after the war, passing the offices of the Norwegian Foreign Ministry, which were among those decked out in the colors of the Ukrainian flag. The statue silhouette in the foreground is that of King Haakon VI. King Haakon VI. I understand. Norway's first modern monarch after the country won its own independence as sovereign nation in 1905. Anyway, that's enough for me. For the record, this I have this topic that calls for the record, but I don't know what it is. For the record, firefighters saved historic coastal town. New national warning is like a short news. Some new national warning system launched. This is interesting, but maybe it's not a full news. Look, there is not even it's like a short news. Don't even have a photo. Yeah. This will be all about news in English.no. New national warming system launched February. This was 3 days ago. The Norwegian police, civil defense, and state preparedness officials are promoting a new warming system aimed at sending out rapid information in case of a national emergency, called Nødvarsel, literally emergency warning. The system will send important information directly to Norwegians' mobile phones. Look, like here in Chile we have this, when some bushfires, like, or earthquakes, we have these messages on phone. The three state agencies insist that everyday life in Norway is safe, but unforeseen and serious event can hit us too. If a life-threatening situation emerges, Norwegian can now receive warnings and instructions on their phones. The new service come in addition to channels already in use to warn and inform the public. It involves downloading the app called Nødvarsel, and it's backed by the government ministries in charge of justice, preparedness, and local governments. They are urging Norwegians to download the apps while noting that the police and civil defense agency will continue to use existing channels in case of a national emergency. Yeah, we don't have the app. They send like a messaging in like SMS. They send an SMS to us, but it's more like an SMS. It's a loud message. Look, this is very interesting to me. Russian vessels' crews face new restrictions. Where's this? Norway Norway has controversially continued to allow Russian vessels to dock at selected ports in the north. Vessels. Oh, I understand. So Norway is kind of in war with Russia. Selected ports in the north for trade and maritime assistance reasons. And now the police chief in the northern country, of Finnmark, county of Finnmark, wants to limit the movements of crew members going ashore for security reasons. Newspaper Sorvaranger Avis reports that Russian seafarers will no longer be able to freely wander around in downtown Kirkenes, the Norwegian city closest to Norway's border to Russia. They've earlier been able to move freely within Kirkenes city limits, but now they will be restricted to the harbor area where the vessels dock. A draft of the new restrictions being sent out to hearing will limit the presence of Russian crew members on ships docking at Kirkenes to the area north of the A6 highway between the piers serving coastal voyage vessels Urti Grutekaya, and commercial vessels Sunvarangerkaya. The state-controlled police cite current security policy situation in Europe, which increases the need for security and control by Norwegian authorities. I guess Norwegian is wrong. Norway is wrong because Russia, well, I guess there will be no war in the north. There will be no aggression because Russia only, I don't know, or maybe I guess Norway is not attacking like the Ukrainians do. The Ukrainians are they kill so many Russians in the Donbass. So I guess there will be no problem with in the north. At least is what I don't know. I think Russia don't hate Norway, or they don't never say nothing about Norway. At least not in Russia today. Food tax. This I like it. This short news. This I like to. We'll read more too, and that's it. I guess the short news is like more huge profits raise concerns. It's February 9. This was 18 days ago. Several of Norway's most important companies. Oh, what a noisy motorcycles. Several of Norway's most important companies are reporting more record earnings. That's usually viewed as a good thing, but not now when they are tied to painfully high prices for oil and gas that in turn are a result of Russia's war on Ukraine. Norwegian oil and energy firm Equinor has never earned more money than it did in 2022, enough to pay out around Norwegian 170 billion of Norwegian crowns in dividends to shareholders. The biggest being the Norwegian state. Norway's largest bank, DNB, which with many customers in the energy sector, also reported more strong after-tax earnings, up 37% in the fourth quarter of last year. that left DNB with year-end results of 32.9 billion or Norwegian crowns, higher than analysis had expected even after interest rate hikes. The CEOs of both Equinor and DNB called 2022 an extraordinary year because of war. They are making lots of money on war. Characterized by the reopenings that followed the corona crisis, but also the war and high inflation. Equinor CEO Anders Opedal praised good and hard work by Equinor employees as they pumped up gas and oil production to meet demand in Europe after Russian gas was cut off, but told newspaper Dagens Næringsliv DN that he and his staff weren't popping open bottles of bubbly because of the high prices fueled by the war. He's clearly uncomfortable by the war profits label that's been tied to his business, though telling state broadcaster NRK that we can't do anything about the war in Ukraine. What we can do is make sure that as much gas as possible comes to Europe. But as I was listening of Pepe Escobar, a Brazilian analyst, he said that there was in 2024 or this year 2023 there will be no more gas for Europe, no more oil for Europe. So Russia is going well. Opedal also claimed that Equinor is very glad that the parliament and the government are working to expand Norway's aid package to Ukraine and want to use money from the oil fund for that. He also stresses that Equinor will be investing much of its profits in renewable energy, as are other profitable Norwegian oil and gas companies like Aker BP. Environmental and climate organizations don't think the investment is happening quickly enough. Oh, I didn't get this last part. The renewable energy, like the Sami people. This is complicated, isn't it? So that's why I think Sami people maybe they are getting manipulated by someone here, or maybe it's all against the oil, isn't it? That's the last one, I promise. Only to get the 47 minutes. Food tax unlikely to be lowered. February 7, this 20 days ago. Norwegians have long had to pay tax on food purchases as well as on all other goods and services. They will likely need to keep swallowing it after a proposal to remove or lower the tax has not well received. The proposal came from a trade union federation, HK Norge, which thought that removing the 50% VAT on food, at least temporarily, will help Norwegians cope with rapidly rising food prices. Look, this is a link here. Rapidly rising food prices. It's lower than Norway's 25% VAT on all other goods and services, but further boosts the cost of a trip to the grocery store. The proposal was similar to an earlier one to also remove VAT from Norwegians, spiking electricity bills. The idea is to offer consumers some relief at a time when the state government is already racking in record hikes racking in record high tax revenues fueled by high prices. An economic professor at NTNU, Ragnar Torvik, quickly vetoed the idea, claiming it wouldn't help those needing relief most. And only more 1 minute, 1 minute and a half. The most Torvik, who recently headed a state commission on taxation, has actually proposed raising the food tax to 25% while lowering income taxes for those in low brackets and raising financial aid for students or those with children. Look, this is not happening in the global south. You can say anything about Norway, but this will never, at least, is not happening in the global south. Politicians in the government party seems to agree with the center party's Geir Pollestad, head of the finance committee in parliament, told state broadcaster NRK that removing or cutting the food tax will cost the state around 16 billion Norwegian krones a year and could prompt grocery stores to raise prices even more. That's I don't understand, isn't it? Because the logic says that Norwegian is earning lots of money with the war, but it's getting even expensive. Who knows why, isn't it? Because I don't know, maybe all is getting to inflation of wheat or anything.